Ladies and gentlemen, may I please hand over to Dr. Chris as our moderator. May I please introduce Dr. Chris by reading his profile. A dynamic and experienced family physician with a special interest in palliative medicine, Dr. Christopher Menzezungu holds an MBCHB degree from the University of Cape Town, a master's degree in family medicine from University of Pretoria, a fellowship with the College of Family Physicians SA, a diploma in palliative medicine from UCT. He also holds a Master of Philosophy in Palliative Medicine degree from UCT. He's the founder and director of CM Zungu Incorporated, which is running the urgent care Riverside Mbombela and provides palliative and rehabilitation care in different health settings in Mbombela. Can we please give him a round of applause? As part of our panel, we have Miss Yunopa Tarwa. My apologies if I am not pronouncing it very well. My apologies. Miss Yunopa Tarwa is a visionary, legal professional and the managing director of Tarwa Attorneys Incorporated, a pioneering all-female law firm based in Mbombela. Known for her unwavering commitment to justice, integrity, and client-centered service, she leads a dynamic team of legal professionals who deliver expert counsel across various areas of law. Ms. Tarwa holds an LLB from the University of South Africa and is passionate about creating space for women in the legal field. Through her work, she not only advocates for fairness and accessibility in the justice system, but also mentors and empowers aspiring female legal practitioners. Can we please give her a round of applause? Yeah, I can hear some ululations there. All right. Next, we speak of Professor Joe Masego. An advocate, Professor Joseph Mandla Masego is a seasoned legal expert, academic, and champion of consumer rights with a distinguished career in public service and education. He has served in several high-level roles, including executive chairperson of the National Consumer Tribunal, campus director at the Tshwane University of Technology, and senior commissioner at the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation, and Arbitration, which is the CCMA. His work has had continental impact, including drafting consumer protection legislation for Eswatini under the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and providing training to key institutions in Seychelles and Botswana. Professor Masego is also the founder of Masego Management Services and continues to lead in both legal and academic fields across South Africa and beyond. May we please give him a round of applause. On to the next speaker and the next panelist, Ms. Masabata Chabedi, a passionate mathematics educator, entrepreneur, and researcher dedicated to skills development and empowerment. She's the founder of New Dawn Kids Academy, a pioneering stream-based preschool that integrates science, technology, robotics, engineering, arts, and mathematics into early childhood education. With a BEd honors and multiple academic accolades, Masabata is driven by a mission to transform how mathematics is understood and taught. Through research, visualization, and cognitive-based learning methods, she aims to deepen learners' grasp of mathematical concepts. For her, mathematics is not just about numbers, it's a powerful tool for thinking, problem solving, and unlocking human potential. A round of applause. Last but not least, Miss Manzini. Kwabini. Nyamagayishi. Isha ngabaphephezeli. Uyabona bonke abantu balaba related. Bekhona uZungu, manje kunoManzini, they are related. Nangu uSithole yena related noMoya. Wonke umuntu uthi, we are all related. All right, Ms. Manzini is a highly experienced clinical psychologist with over 14 years of dedicated service in both the public and private sectors. She currently practices at Rob Ferreira Hospital and runs a private practice where she provides expert psychological care, where she provides expert psychological care. She holds a B-Psych degree and a Master's of Arts in Clinical Psychology. And her academic contributions include a published study titled The Impact of Philophonetics Counseling on Sexually Abused Children. Ms. Manzini is a committed member of the South African Clinical Neuropsychology Association, Neuropsychology SA, and BWRT. She has actively participated in several national consultative workshops, including those on substance abuse prevention, treatment policy, and the National Drug Master Plan, contributing her insights to critical health policy development in South Africa. Masimshayeleni izandla. Siyabonga ke kakhulu bakwethu. I am going to now hand over to our moderator. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our special neurodiversity discussion. Today we are going to look into the fascinating world of neurodiversity, exploring the unique perspective and experiences of individuals with neurological disorders. Hopefully, by the end of today, all of us are going to get out of here knowing what neurodiversity is, how neurodiverse population and their families can be supported or assisted. How can we best plan financially for neurodiverse population and their families? Ladies and gentlemen, we only have got 45 minutes for this segment, so I will just get right straight to the point. To the basics, the very basics. You know, when we talk about a lot of things like neurodiversity, it's a very fancy term. Like it's easy to assume that we all understand what neurodiversity is. But our esteemed guest, Noma Zingamanzini, our psychologist, can you briefly maybe explain to us so that we make sure that everyone understands what is neurodiversity and which conditions commonly fall under neurodiversity?
Good evening, afternoon, everyone. Neurodiversity is a very broad term that was coined in the 1990s. It is an umbrella term that refers to a collection of largely genetic conditions affecting how a person learns, how they socialize, what they focus on, what they pay attention on, their views of the world, and how they process information. It runs in families. It is across all genders, ethnicities, races, socioeconomic groups, and intelligence scales. The diversity falls on a spectrum of neurocognitive differences. This means that these individuals have different strengths and challenges from people whose brains do not have these differences. I'm not going to mention all the conditions that fall within neurodiversity. I'm going to mention a few. I'm going to start with neurodevelopmental disorders. These conditions have a developmental onset period. These disorders typically manifest early in development before the child enters school. They are characterized by developmental deficits or differences in brain processing, and that is going to impair a person's social, academic, occupational functioning. I am going to briefly explain what was known as intellectual disability. It is now known as intellectual developmental disorder, and even older term is mental retardation. This is when there is an impairment across the board in terms of the person's intellectual functioning and adaptive functioning. And another common one is the autism spectrum disorder. This is characterized by a persistent deficit in social communication and interaction, and also restricted and repetitive patterns of behaviors, interests, and activities. Another common one is ADHD, which is attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. This is defined by an inability to be attentive, and also the hyperactivity and impulsive part. This is when a child is often hyperactive, they're always on the run, they're very impulsive, they struggle to wait their turn. And another common one that I'm going to mention is learning disorders. These are specific learning disorders, not to be confused with intellectual disability. This is when they struggle with specific subjects, and the ones that are common is dyslexia. Again, this is difficulties characterized by problems with accurate and fluent recognition of words, poor decoding, and poor spelling abilities. The other one that is common is when individuals will struggle with maths. They will perform well in other subjects, but in these specific subjects, this is where the individuals will struggle. And we also have Tourette's disorder, which is also quite common. It is characterized by sudden and involuntary movements and or sounds, which are called tics, and they range from mild to severe, moderate to severe, and are disabling to some individuals.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nomazinga Manzini. We can see there's a wide range of these conditions, and even each condition is very different. Like one child with autism is not the same as the next child with autism. But Ms. Nomazinga Manzini, are we just bluffing, or are we really wasting a lot of time discussing these neurodiverse conditions? Is it a problem? How common are neurodiversity disorders in South Africa especially?
Research says there is about 15 to 20% of the world population of individuals that show signs of neurodiversity. So we are not bluffing. It is really a problem.
So it's quite a common problem that we are having. And most of the time, when we have a neurological disorder or any disease, we always are talking of a cause. And I know that for these disorders, there isn't an obvious cause. But most of the time, we talk about risk factors. Maybe, Ms. Nomazinga Manzini, if you can assist us maybe with risk factors that are associated with these conditions.
All right. Again, the risk factors that I'm going to give are not specific to one particular diagnosis, but I'm just going to group everything together. We have genetic, and we also have brain-altering experiences, which will be trauma. So in terms of genetic or physiological causes, these are syndromes or chromosomal disorders, brain malformations, and maternal diseases. Then we have environmental influences or risk factors. This is being exposed to toxins or substances, and also chronic and social deprivation. There is also prenatal causes, which include a variety of labor and delivery related events. There is also postnatal causes, which includes hypoxic ischemic injuries and also brain traumatic injuries.
Thank you so much. She mentioned so many risk factors. Out of all these risk factors, I didn't hear her saying vaccination causes neurodiverse conditions. I know that there are a couple of people who are now not vaccinating their children. She is an expert, ladies and gentlemen. Let us immunize our children. There is no evidence that says there are vaccines that cause neurodiverse conditions. Ms. Nomazinga, could you please assist us? How do we support patients and families to cope with neurodiverse disorders, especially emotional dysregulation, which is a common problem that we see amongst these patients?
All right. I think firstly we need to embrace neurodiversity, and we need to accept and celebrate neurodivergent children. We need to adjust tasks and activities so that a neurodivergent individual can fully participate. We also need to develop ways of managing a person or their task and activities so that they feel natural to them. For example, a person who has been diagnosed with autism, we know that they tend to hyper-focus on certain things. So, creating a learning environment that will foster that will be good, because then they tend to hyper-focus on those particular things. Environmental adjustments are also very important. Now, when it comes to emotional regulation and temper tantrums, those are two different things. Temper tantrums are goal-directed, and we know that when someone is throwing a tantrum, or usually a child, it's because they want something. When we're talking about emotional dysregulation, we are talking about an inability to control and to regulate one's emotional responses. And usually the person tends to experience these emotions in a very intense way, which will differ from someone who doesn't struggle with emotional dysregulation. The regulation model includes a lot of things, but I'm only going to focus on two, which is co-regulation and also the body. When we talk about co-regulation, this is between a parent or a primary caregiver and a child. If the primary caregiver is regulated, whether the child is dysregulated or regulated, the child will always be regulated. If the primary caregiver is dysregulated, whether the child is regulated or dysregulated, you will end up having a child who is dysregulated. There are certain things that we can teach our children, which is modifying their senses. For example, it can be soft and cuddly toys. It can be altering a sense of smell, whether you are going to use candles, anything that has got to do with sight, exposing them to things that are coming. Another important thing when it comes to learning how to regulate your emotions is we need to reduce screen time, and we need to introduce it later in a child's life, which means we also have a responsibility as parents not to be constantly busy on our phones if we don't want our children to be busy on our phones. So if you are constantly on your phone, obviously the child sees that this is something interesting I also want. So what the child sees, the child is going to do. That is how children learn. They copy our behavior. Another important thing that we can teach younger children is how to tap certain areas of the body when they are experiencing these intense emotions. This can be at, right at the bottom of your nose chin. It can be at the top of your head. And this is a very soft tap that you teach your children when they need to self-regulate. It can be the collarbone as well. You teach them how to tap there. It can be the bottom of the eye, the corner of the eye, and also the eyebrow. Now, what we can do as parents, or how we can assist ourselves as parents, is we need to find out what is it that triggers me about my child's behavior, and then I need to learn how to flood or how to regulate my own emotions by self-soothing, by using language that describes what is happening. I also need to teach my child how to describe their emotions. You can get on Google, you will definitely find that circle of emotions. It's going to start with one, maybe anger, and then it's going to give you different emotions that fall under anger. So you can help your child to do that. Even if your child is nonverbal, but you can be able to teach them how to use that. We need to remember that when we are dealing with teenagers, most teenagers are self-centered. It's always about them, so the approach there also needs to be different. You also need to create time for yourself, whether it's going to be once a week or it's going to be once a day, but you need to create time so that you can do something for yourself. While we were watching the movie, one lady spoke about mindfulness, which is also a very practical and a very effective tool that individuals can learn and they can use on a daily basis. You not only use it for yourself, but you also teach your children how to use that. And another thing, learn to listen to what your child is saying and reflect back to them what they are saying, and ask them what they would like to do, differently. Another important thing is there must always be a time for recovery. This is where you find a moment to learn what has taken place, and this is also important for your child for that period to learn what has taken place in the process. There also needs to be a gap for consequences, whether consequences are discussed on that particular day or consequences are discussed on a different day.
Wow, that is powerful information, very practical information. I like what you are saying though. If the caregiver is regulated, then the child is regulated. But I mean, I must say, it sounds very easy, but it takes a lot as well, which talks a lot about caregiver support as well. But I mean, I would like to move and talk a bit about neurodiversity and education. Masabata, this lady has got a lot of accolades. She's an advocate for children with learning differences. Masabata, what inspired you to become an advocate for children with learning differences?
I think I became an advocate by default. As an educator and founder of New Dawn Kids Academy, I encountered a lot of kids that were often misunderstood because of the way they learn. They were written off, they were labeled to say they are slow learners, they are disruptive in class, they've been given all sorts of names. And most of these kids, when they come to our academy, their parents will be coming with reports that are coming from the psychologist to say they've been diagnosed with this and that. And a parent will come frustrated, emotional, and all of that, and then we will work with these children. But what I observe through working with these children, you'll find that my observation is totally different from what the psychologist has diagnosed. And it was really a frustration to me as an educator, because I've been working with this child and these are my observations. And I think in my experience, what I've realized is that the curriculum is designed for average children. We do have those exceptional children, and they are not necessarily being catered for. So what I've also struggled with the experience that I had with the children that I was working with is really trying to tap into how they learn. You'll find that they understand the work, but having to receive the information, processing it in their mind and retrieving it at a later stage, it was a challenge, because we as teachers, we do understand the different learning styles. We know how they learn, but they don't necessarily know how they learn. And it's a challenge for teachers to really tap into that space where we teach them how to learn. So, yes.
Wow.
As doctors, healthcare professionals, we often get a lot of children being sent to us, seen by the teachers. Often the teachers notice something. I know there's a lot of blame regarding Department of Education, but most of the time the teacher will actually notice something. I'm interested in knowing how much emphasis is put on teaching children with neurodiverse disorders in the teaching curriculum.
I'm going to talk about myself.
Absolutely.
I'm going to tell you about my experience. I've been a teacher for more than a decade. When we are being trained at varsity, when we doing our degrees and whatnot, we are taught about neurodiversity. We are taught about learning styles. We are taught about teaching strategies to accommodate the kids. That we are taught about inclusivity. But for the past 10 years, I've never come across children with neurodiversity. It was only when I've had the opportunity to teach at high school level and also varsity level, and then I decided to resign and start my academy. It was only then when I started with the academy that I had children that learned in a different way. So I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, not much is being done. More awareness needs to be raised around issues of neurodiversity. Teachers as well needs training. And I think also policymakers also needs to come on board, because I think what we are dealing with really needs us to different voices. All the stakeholders needs to be on board. We don't necessarily have to go through what we are going through in isolation. So all the different stakeholders should be on board.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I just want to know from the education side of things, like when a teacher identifies a child with a learning disability or a neurodiverse child, what are the procedures that are followed once such children are identified?
Usually what happens, we write assessment, your normal test, our normal examinations. So usually what we do, we identify learners that are at risk, meaning that at risk of failing. And then from there in schools, there's a committee called School-Based Support Team, SBST, and those kids are then referred to that committee. And then through that committee, and then the report, the observations will then go to the principal, and that will be submitted to the Department of Education, where now the report will now be given to the psychologist to further provide a recommendation, do the test and whatnot. So basically that's the process.
Thank you so much. Masabata, you are doing amazing work. You shall be greatly rewarded for it. What is your long-term vision in terms of children with learning barriers in South Africa?
What I envision for children of South Africa is that no child should be marginalized or left behind because they learn differently. But I'm very excited about this platform because Dr. Tracy, you've created a space where different voices are amplified. We have in here people from the medical fraternity, we have people from academia, we've got teachers, so all the stakeholders, because it's not the children are not the responsibility of teachers only, but this whole community here, this platform, these voices that have been raised here, it's what I envision, so that the children that are learning differently are not left behind, because it doesn't mean that they are not capable. They are our children are all fearfully and wonderfully made, and they all have a purpose. There's a reason why they are here, so they shouldn't be marginalized. And Dr. Tracy, I'm raising my hand. Diti Tumanina, I want to be part of this movement. I want to be. We should be having this foundation in every province. We should be having this movement in every city, in every school. So like I've said, my hand is up. I want to be an advocate for neurodiversity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that yourself. There is this joke that I often meet on social platforms that as a parent, I will have to quit my job to be able to keep up with the amount of homework that teachers are giving to our children. So I cannot imagine then what it is like when your child has got a neurodiverse disorder. I am bringing in Advocate Masego here. He wears a lot of hats, a professor, an advocate, but today he is here with us as a parent of a son who has got autism spectrum disorder, which was diagnosed about 38 years ago. This will immediately make you aware of how long these children, actually we can't even say children, they become adults because their lifespan is almost like every one of us. Now, Professor, I would like to know how was life impacted by the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder for your son. I understand at that time he was 2 years old, so that was 38 years ago. Also, what message would you share with parents whose children have recently been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, aka ASD?
Yeah, this is audible. Audible? Oh, I can be heard. Okay, I can also hear myself. Sorry. Thanks, Chair. The first one word for how I was impacted. Devastating. Okay, sorry. For a top achiever in whatever you do, to have a child who would come out like that, it's extremely devastating. Okay. Okay. But it helped. It blessed me in that, in doing whatever I did after that, I had to dedicate myself to researching this condition. Okay, it's not a condition. As you correctly say, it's a spectrum. And I had to, as also a consummate researcher, I had to research thoroughly what this is and how it can be dealt with. Because I found that everybody just calls it incurable. Incurable? So it's incurable. So I had to find out why is this incurable. And then I found that first and foremost, it's not even a condition. It's not even a disease. So we talk about it and lump many things together and call them incurable. It's like saying garden vegetables are autism. So if you want to solve autism, you must go and fix garden vegetables. How many garden vegetables are there? You'll pardon me, the lights are really in my eyes. They make me feel autistic. So in order for you to deal with garden vegetables, you have to know how to deal with each garden vegetable on its own. You have to deal with tomatoes. What is wrong with tomatoes? How do you solve it? You have to deal with carrots. You've got to go to all the others. Okay? You can't just say, I'm fixing a garden and that's it. Because this garden is not consisting of one kind of vegetable. So that's the same thing with autism. In how it directed me from a personal interest, it was now in finding, if you want to uproot this thing, because I want NADOC to uproot it, not to just nurse it and mollycoddle it and treat it. I know allopathic medicine, Western medicine, believes in identifying the problem once it's diagnosed, then get there and treat it. You guys don't claim to cure. The guys who claim to cure are the witch doctors and some prophets, real prophets and some false prophets. But to treat something to me means it's already there and you are accepting that it's not going to go away. And it will not go away if you keep treating it as a single thing when you deal with a bunch of things. It's a bunch of things, like I said, with the vegetables in the garden, and it's carrots and tomatoes. So you must learn about each of these conditions that bring about this spectrum that you call autism. So in my research, that's what I've dedicated myself doing. Of course, because it's a lifetime research, it's not rewarded, it's not funded. I have found that I have to keep on doing this, but until I find the solution, or somebody does. But in the process, I've also found out other things that I was not out to get. I guess it's like going out hunting lions and you raise a few rabbits and you end up chasing them and catching them. I've been publishing articles, medical articles on that. As you can understand, the only medical qualification I have is a module in medical law in my LLB. You see? So I only can deal with that if we sue each other and go to court and all of that. But if it is about medicine in general, I learn it from the research that I've been conducting. So a lot of people internationally who read my articles in journals, they try to talk to me like they would talk to a medical doctor. And of course, if I look at anything and study it, I get thoroughly into it until I know it thoroughly. So I know most sicknesses from a patient's point of view, if you like. If I go to a doctor, I tend to go and inform them to diagnose me. Once I'm diagnosed, I can tell exactly how I'm going to heal it. And I heal them. I've healed gout. It's incurable, right? It's gone with me. I've done a whole bunch of things on myself. Because by law, you're not allowed to practice medicine if you're not a medical doctor. So I don't tell anybody else. But I face myself. I face myself
Yes.
and make myself my own laboratory and heal myself. I like healing than treatment. Because my problem with treatment is that it brings too many side effects. I have looked at one Panadol label one day and found that it heals headaches or it treats headaches, but found that there are side effects.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're 32 or 16 that it brings with it.
Yeah.
So I decided, no Panadol for me. I'll find another way of dealing with it that is not going to bring the other diseases with it. So the other impact I found is that my son started off being diagnosed with the autism, if you treat it like it's one thing. And then, but in the process of dealing with that, he ended up, from the medicines now, he ended up getting obese. The medicine kept changing to alleviate that. The obesity on its own brought diabetes. The diabetes brought visual impairment. And all of that, then they also together, now I don't know now which one caused what anymore, but they increased also his cholesterol levels, the LDL cholesterol. I think you call it low density whatever.
Low density lipoprotein.
Or lipro. Okay, now I'll remember it later.
Well, Prof, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see how difficult it becomes. And we thank God for people like Dr. Mako, for your foundation, which not only aims to assist the people who are affected, but it's holistic. It includes parents. It impacts our communities. So we really thank God. And I'm sure this is just the beginning. We are looking forward to another meeting next year as well. Prof, 38 years ago, in terms of support for patient and family, fast track now to 2025. Do you feel for autism spectrum disorder support in terms of for patients and families, there is any difference at the moment compared to 38 years ago?
Yeah, that's again another point that leads me down the narrow path and very long one. Because to me, you have high functioning and low functioning people with this disorder. It's not like you're dealing with one homogeneous group. Some are high functioning, low functioning, others are verbal, others non-verbal, others are educable, others non-educable. So in my research, I have found that you cannot just classify everybody in one category and judge whether you're getting enough support for them or not. You have to drill down to each again to say, for instance, I took my son to many of these different places. Some children there would come all right. You would see that they are even able to be educated following some specific learning methods that can be devised for them, tailored for them. But those that are highly autistic, severely autistic, you can't even do that. So one parent, if you do a research, will say, yeah, we have enough support. And then another one will say, no, there is no support whatsoever. So that's why I don't think we should focus too much only on the maintenance part. I think we should focus on the elimination. We should be able to eliminate things like we did smallpox, leprosy, etc.
Prof reiterates, it's a wide spectrum. Neurodiversity on its own has got a lot of conditions. Autism spectrum disorder on its own has got a lot of conditions. And and we have mentioned, like Prof is saying, some of the medications have got side effects, diabetes, obesity, leading to even other medical illnesses.
Did you say some?
Most.
Oh.
Most, if not all.
Like 99.9 maybe?
No, definitely. Yeah, they often say there is no drug without a side effect. So you can see in the family situation, growing up with such children, and you know, most conditions maybe you have to deal with them as children. But when you talk about neurodiverse disorders, it's even into adult health issues that coming into play. I want to bring Ms. Tara into our conversation because you then, Ms. Tara, maybe if you can assist us in terms of challenges of neurodiverse individuals and families that they face managing finances, and how can you as a wealth planner assist?
Thank you, Dr. Zungu. Most parents with children with disabilities or special needs, including neurodiversity, worry about their children, especially when it comes to the fact that what will happen to my children when I'm no longer there to protect them, to take care of them, both financially and physically. So it is uncomfortable for most people to think about death or having to put measures in place that deal with what you are going to leave behind. So what is it that parents can do to protect their assets especially their financial assets, and to ensure that there is family's financial well-being. They can do so by carefully planning their estates and having a clear, a valid and regularly updated estate plan. I'm sure we all heard Prof when he was talking about the challenges that he faced when looking after his son. And we are looking at a very long period. And all these treatments and assistance that is required to take care of children with disabilities requires a lot of money. So how can parents ensure that they have or they are financially equipped to take care of their children with disabilities? So in terms of estate planning, let me start by explaining what estate planning is. So estate planning is a process. It's not a one-day thing. It is a process which involves the arrangement and management of your assets to make sure that you have enough to take care of yourself and your disabled children or minor children during your lifetime, and also when you are no more. So we do have various tools that we use in estate planning. I'll just briefly list them and try to focus maybe just on two due to the constraints of time. So we can make use of things like trust. You can also make use of a will, life policies, retirement annuities, pensions, and so forth, investments. So when it comes to trust, it is a very good way of making sure that through the use of a trust, you can start putting assets into a trust, which will make it possible for, let's say, when you are no longer there, it will ensure that the assets are protected. It will also ensure that, because we have to pay a lot of taxes, it will minimize the impact of taxes on whatever you have put aside. So when you have a disabled child, you can actually create a trust, a special trust, type A, which is specifically designed to cater for children with disabilities. And of course, it will have to comply with the requirements that are stipulated by SARS. There are tax benefits when you use a special trust. The other issue of concern when you have a child with challenges is who's going to take care of that child when I'm no longer there. So if you draw up a valid will, you can either appoint either a guardian who is going to look after your child, or you can appoint a curator who, in the case of a child who can not make decisions, you can then appoint that person or nominate that person. Of course, it will be the court that will eventually appoint. So it is very important that parents become aware of tools that they can use in order to ensure that their children are well taken care of.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Taro. I think where you appoint someone to manage, I think I heard Dr. Mako mentioning that you are alive, you are giving your child a certain quality of life. A lot of parents worry about that maybe when they die, maybe others do not plan because of that, because people don't want to think of their own mortality, but at some point it's going to happen. Someone will have to manage those funds, and if I understand well, that is the process of getting a curator or curator bonus. So what I wanted to ask was, you have a child with a neurodiverse condition who is very sick with a poor quality of life. Does curator bonus mean that the person who has been chosen to be the curator also make the health decisions for the person with a neurodiverse disorder? Is curator bonus also the same as health decision maker?
We have 3 types of curators. The first one being a curator bonus. This is the person that is appointed through a court application, High Court, to take care of the financial financial affairs of a person who is unable to take care of their own financial needs. Then the second type, we have what we call a curator ad litem. This is a person who is appointed once again through the court and who can then represent legally the person who is unable to do so themselves. Then the last type of curator is a curator personae, and I think this is the one that you are talking about. So if somebody is mentally challenged and they do not have the capacity to make decisions about their own health, a close relative, such as a parent or a spouse or a sibling, can be appointed through an application in the High Court. And once that person is appointed, they can then make decisions on behalf of the mentally challenged person about the type of treatment, their day-to-day care. Yes.
Thank you so much. These are plans that as parents we need to put in place while we are able to make our own decisions and choices. Thank you so much. I think I would like to open now the discussion to you guys. If you've got any questions, how are we going to do it? Probably maybe take a set of 5 questions, answer them, and then if time allows, we'll then go for another round. The floor is open. Yes, by hands, noted. There's only one hand, okay.
I don't think they heard you say.
Okay. Okay, so with the teacher who educate kids who are disabled, do you guys use technology to also improve their skills? Because now we are more into for industrial revolution. Do you use technology to improve the kids with their learnings as you educate them? Is technology involved in your curriculum as you educate them?
Yes, most definitely. We have kids that are coming with different problems. So we do make use of technology. For example, for the kids that are struggling with reading, we have some technology in place that we are using to assist them.
Any other question? People want to go home. Thank you, everyone, for your thoughtful questions and insight. A big thank you to our esteemed guests for sharing your expertise on neurodiversity. Let's continue to celebrate and support the unique contributions of neurodiverse individuals in our communities. Until next time, take care and embrace diversity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. May we please just give them one more round of applause as our panelists are descending the stage. Being extra medium large, you are able to assist people as they descend. Even those who are at the risk of falling, you can always be the hero. How, Maton? I know it's the first time you are hearing of somebody that's extra medium large. That is me, thank you very much. And as Dr. Tracy has said, she is taking ownership of the term my lady. Extra medium large is also mine. Thank you so much to our panelists, and it was eye-opening. It was insightful. Much as Ms. Masabata was saying to Mamina, I have now also found my purpose. This is not just the end of the relationship. I am also saying to Mamina, wherever you need me, because this needs to be in all the provinces in this country. We need to have Dr. Tracy Makomkonza Foundation in all the provinces of South Africa. So, ladies and gentlemen, amongst us we have a certain birthday girl. Lalela. Intombendala, Nyamazi. We have a certain birthday girl in our midst. So what we would like to do, we would like to open up for our birthday wishes. Bayazazi, those that are supposed to be here for the birthday wishes, can they please come through? Yazi ngicabanga ukuthi mhlambe masingamthola aze ngapha. Okay, understood. No problem at all. All right. I shall go to the birthday girl herself. Lalela intombendala madoda. Ubheke ukuthi. Yep, mangihamba ngishanga liya walk, nayi liya walk. Iya kwintombendala. Yes, lalela. Hayi, hlala phansi mama ungasukumi nokusukuma. This is your moment. Yeah, usho ukuthi wabona ko launching ya ngwanaka. Ko re ke dutse fatshe le nna ka ba queen. Over to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Zip zip it, zip zip it, happy birthday to you. Today,
Sisaqhubeka. Ukhulile wena. Ukhulile. Wena mama nena. Ukhulile wena. Ukhulile lila wena. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to mama you. Happy birthday to you. Maestro.
Again, I'm not much. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, hey, happy birthday to you. To you. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, hey.
Ah, come on, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. Lalela izojika lento kube i-idol sikhona manje. Mama, we sincerely hope that God preserves you. We sincerely hope that we pray that ngokukhulisa such children, may He give you the desires of your heart concerning them. You know, you're at an age where God listens to your prayers. You have walked the journey with Him. So, all the best and all the best wishes. Thank you so much, ma'am. All right. Hey, ngizwe sekuphuma namanye amasoprano abantu bescream. Lalela. Mina ngizazi nguBerry White kodwa sengizwe sekuphuma. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we shall now have the official cutting of the ribbon. Ah, the Dr. M.T. Makomkhonza Foundation ribbon. May we please have the doctor here? Babu Mkhonza, please also come, sir. Mastol, please come through also. Baba, please also come through. Also have the members of the board to please come through. All the members of the board, Go Foundation, may they please also come through.
Embilania when no sitaba sempefumloa umahlale phude wena ukucu wena ungigogonge embilweni yami when usitsava sempefumloa umahlale phude wena ukucu omine ngiyakuthanda omine ngiyakuthanda omine ngiyakuthanda Jesus, come on.
Ngiyakuthanda Jesus.
Ngiyakuthanda
Jesu.
Ngingaba yini ngaphandle kwakho mina ngingaba maningi ngaphandle kwakho mina ngeke ngisuke kuwe sandva sami mina ngeke ngisuke kuwe sandva sami omaye ngiyakuthanda asiphinde futhi ngingaba yini ngaphandle kwakho mina ngingaba manikiniki mina ngeke ngisuke kuwe sandva sami omaye ngiyakuthanda ngiyakuthanda
ngiyakuthanda ngiyakuthanda ngiyakuthanda Jesu ngiyakuthanda ngiyakuthanda
sama senhlitiyo
Jesu
ngiyakuthanda
ngiyakuthanda ngiyakuthanda ngiyakuthanda Jesu ngiyakuthanda 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 Jesu
invonga yakho nelutfonfolo lwakho kuyangivutvuta samba senhlitiyo ya invonga yakho nelutfonfolo lwakho kuyangivutvuta samba senhlitiyo
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I shall hand over to Babu Umkhonza.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at the end of our beautiful program. And this is my symbolic gesture that abothuma mina bakhona bonke in this environment. So as they play the song, then the head of my household is going to cut the ribbon to symbolize the official opening of the Dr. M.T. Magomkhonza Foundation. And on stage, I have with me ladies and gentlemen who are the proverbial Tumaminas. Thank you so much. Babu Kwanza.
Sinking low, scatterlings and fugitives, hooded eyes and weary brows seek refuge in the night. They are the scatterlings of Africa, each uprooted one. On the road to Belamanga, where the world began. South Africa, each and every one, in their hearts a burning hunger beneath the copper sun.
May we please give them a round of applause as they descend. Sekwenzekile. Sekwenzekile. Dr. Tracy just exposed her age by requesting this specific song. Johnny Clegg, Scatterlings of Africa, ma 2000 awayazi. ama-90s awayazi. Asibuyele emuva, kuya ngokuthi imaphi ama-80s awayaziyo, bese uya ngasemuva futhi. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have come to the end of my role as your program director. Thank you very much for having been such a wonderful audience. May you please give yourselves a round of applause on my behalf. Thank you so much. So I am going to open for the closing remarks. May we please welcome Mr. H. Skosana to come forth. Thank you so much. Nazo. Yeah, he's getting ready because after this is here to Mapele.
Wow, what an event. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lupe Skosana, and I'm a friend of the Mkonza family and the Sithole family. But I know everybody is tired and wants to go home, but I just want to do a very quick exercise. I asked permission from Dr. M.T. Mako Mkonza, and she allowed it. As I was taking the snippets of the presentation, I thought it best to throw it back to you for a gift. If you give me a right answer, there's a gift coming your way. Unfortunately, it's not here yet. But given the position I have at work, I should be able to organize those gifts. So what would happen is I'm going to ask questions. It's about 4 or 5 questions. And if you give me the right answer, someone will run to you with a cell phone or a pen and paper, take your names, so I can organize a gift for you. Is that fair? Okay. First question. One of the presenters mentioned, and I want you to please raise your hands. Don't rush to answer. One of the presenters mentioned that there is less, or that dependency has been eliminated on Gauteng for specialized healthcare services. And one of those is the neurological services. Can you raise your hand and tell me who that panelist is? Sorry, the presenter was. Yes, ma'am. The MEC, correct. Asim Shailene Izandla. Can someone please run to him and take his details together with the telephone number yak? The second question is, someone mentioned that once you find purpose, nothing is comfortable. You are disqualified. Yes, madam. Please stand up. Yeah, you, yes. Who mentioned that?
No, man, why? Ms. Santole.
Mr. Turner, thank you. Well done. The third question talks to the pain and purpose of every foundation. Who mentioned that? Hey, that table, man. Hey. Okay, Aziza Befut. Dr. M.T. Mako, correct. Correct. The fourth question must come this side. Hey. Yeah. More awareness needs to be made about neurodiversity. This person was very clear in, I know it has been mentioned a number of times, but this one was very clear that more awareness needs to be made about neurodiversity. Who was that? Yes? Come again?
What's her name? Psychologist. The first panelist that we had, the psychologist we had, they don't have her
What
name.
is the name? I want the
Oh,
name.
Manzi, because
no.
the first one, she was here.
Yeah, but it was not her. It was not her.
But she mentioned that.
Okay,
The psychologist. It's the psychologist.
No. Sorry, allow me to be the judge on this one. Yes, sis. Masabata. It's a little unfair, but I'll give it to you because you're sitting with Masabata. The last question. This person clearly highlighted the fact that you cannot have a blanket approach on autism because it is a spectrum, right? Yes, madam? Professor Masego, ne? Asimshayeleni izandla. I hope we all learned from this event and we will spread the message even further. And I'm one of those that is raising my hand to say that please Tuma Mina as well. But on an official note, I want to thank you all for gracing this event with your presence and making it a really tremendous success. We've had an engaging and a very enriching experience filled with insightful discussions, inspiring presentations, and memorable moments. I'm sure you'll agree with me, right? Now, to the participants, to all the participants, your enthusiasm, dedication, and active involvement have been the heart and soul of this event. If you did not participate, it wouldn't have been a success as it was today. And thank you for your contributions and for sharing your knowledge and perspectives. Your participation has made this event truly special. To the organizers and volunteers, to the musicians, to the panelists themselves, we really appreciate your participation. I prepared to thank the sponsors, and I learned when I spoke to Dr. Magom Konza that there were no sponsors. Can you believe that? So now, I am not going to thank the sponsors today, but I'm going to thank them in advance. Let me rather put it that way. I'm going to thank them in advance, and I'm raising my hand. I'm one of those. That is going to support this initiative throughout the entire country. So every province, someone mentioned that it has to go to all the provinces, isn't it? All the provinces, we're going to make sure there's something we contribute as an organization. Right. And to the audience, your presence, your attention, your engagement have been vital, and thank you for joining us, for your thoughtful questions as well that were made here, and for being a part of this event. And last but not least, I want to say to the two gentle giants, and I must be quick to say, the husbands to Dr. Magom Konza and the CEO, You Think and Grow Rich Africa, Lerato Sithole, the husbands, the two husbands. I want to say thank you so much for your support. You have been instrumental throughout the journey up until this day. So well done, guys. Especially Izandla. So these two gentlemen, allow me to call them by names because to me, we were a trio a long time ago. So that is Soli Setole and Sizwe Mkonza. Well done, guys. Great stuff. And as we conclude, let us carry forward the knowledge and inspiration we have gained today. May this event be a catalyst for further learning, collaboration, and positive change. And all of us need to contribute into that positive change. Let us continue to connect, share, and grow together. Thank you once again for your participation and support. We look forward to seeing you in our next event, wherever it's going to be. But we will appreciate to see your face again. Have a wonderful day, and thank you. Amen.
Now we hand over just to the band one more time, as they will just give us one last song. Bese siyaduma. And nabo bazozenza zidume nizobona. Thank you so much. Shoot! Oh, slow, my daughter. Come on now.
Tingi boom,